Welcome to the Kratorian Chronicles. Meet Tyrius, once a paladin and inquisitor of the Solar Empire. Tyrius fled his homeland after uncovering a terrible secret of his nation's ruler. This led to the end of his allegiance to his nation and losing the life he once had. Heading to the eastern freelands, angry and disillusioned, Tyrius took up his blade as a mercenary, spending many years as a hired sword, turning his back on his former god's divinity. In his travels, he came across a cave, once part of a temple to a god of truth and justice. It was here he came across the teachings of Homvor, a god believed slain during the Great Shattering. Tyrius now pledges his life not to a god, but an ideal, helping those in need and channeling the lessons of Homvor to protect those who cannot protect themselves and to aid the peoples of Kratoria. As Calavene prepares for the fight of his life against the former champion of the arena, Kratok Spinestealer, another adventurer sits in a darkened cell. This is Tyrius, and this is his story. You sit in a darkened cell. You look down at where your hand used to be. Vivid images fill your mind. A young, proud soldier, you fight the demonic and infernal threats protecting your homeland. A sword of soul. A dedicated soldier defending your home, the great city of Ascension. A flash. It's now your wedding day. Pride fills you as you marry the woman of your dreams in a great chapel. Friends and family gather and celebrate this union of man and wife. Many, many years pass. You're in a great forest of the Emerald Refuge. Faces flash of old allies. Mercy, a fiery red-headed halfling warrior of the northern icy wastelands of Ulatlu. Faradin, an aged dwarven forge cleric of Thorondar, hailing from Valmeria. And Lucius, an Azimir druid of New Moonshire. You aided them on many adventures, saving the town of Two Streams from a werewolf invasion, and battling the great blight creatures of a returning demigod Moanda. Memories of great triumph and joy flood your mind. A small smile cracks upon your lips in the darkened cell you now inhabit. A vision of the deep blue sky floods your mind, and the cold, brisk air fills your lungs. The smell of pine from the forest below. You feel the scales under your hands as you cling upon a green dragon, flying at rapid speed, heading towards your goal to assault the incarnation of a blight entity and a demigod that is attempting to use the roots of the great oak mother to restore itself and spread its corruption and consume the natural wonder that is the Emerald Refuge. In your peripheral of your vision, you catch a bright orange light. The dragon is hit. You hold tight and brace for impact, descending into the forest below. An Ash Walker unit comes into view and stands before you. You know of these warriors and their sheer strength. A tall, bold man with darker skin steps toward you, their leader, a man with the title of Dawnseeker. As a former Solarian, you know the odds are not in your favour. He makes a proposition. Come willingly, or forfeit your life and the lives of your allies. Time in this moment slows as you feel the breeze and inhale the sweet smell of the forest known as the Emerald Refuge. You decline, lunging at the Dawnseeker commander. With one swift movement, you lose your hand. Your allies ready themselves to make their retaliation against the elite unit of the Western Realmed warriors, known as the Ashbringers. You request your allies to stand down. You accept the term of the Dawnseeker. Your friends stunned and outnumbered. Your journey ends, and you are taken prisoner by the Solaire unit known as the Ashbringers. Elite Solarian paladins who serve the will of the God King of the City of Ascension. A portal rips the very fabric of reality. Hot air fills your lungs as they take you prisoner and walk you through the portal. You look back to see your allies helpless on the other side of the gateway. Alas, aiding them in the great battle to come was not your destiny. As the portal closes around you, you see your allies and the great, deep green forest disappear from your eyes. You appear in a hot, acrid room. Torches light the walls that looked like sandstone. A very, very big contrast to the cool breeze of the forest that you were just in. You can't see much, but you hear the clashing of plate armor as you're brought into your cell. It's dark. You see the face of the commander through a slit in the door. He says nothing. Moments later, you hold your wound as blood profusely still flows out. The interrogations begin almost immediately. An Ashbringer using his divine skill cauterizes your wound with a blade that he sets aflame. You let out cries of pain that echo in the empty halls. You pass out. You come to hours, days later. You don't know. The cell is dark. You hear the winds howling of the outside world filling the corridors. A man is standing in your cell, his face hidden from a large hood of a flowing black and gold robe. You can hear his words, yet he does not speak. You feel a force attempting to pierce your mind. You know this ability all too well. This individual is a priest of the Radiant Eye. And he has caught you off guard this time. His voice echoes in your mind. Tyrius, once a sword of soul and inquisitor of the great city of Ascension. You do intrigue me, brother. What are you doing in the Eastern Freelands so far from your people? At that moment, bright light erupts from underneath the hood of the priest. You are blinded for but a moment. When your vision adjusts, you are no longer in your cell, but a room of gold and glass, of sheer beauty and Solarian architecture. You know this place is a cathedral in the heart of the City of Ascension, but that's impossible. Your mind comes back to you. You know this technique. The priest is attempting to soul burn you. An advanced interrogation method of the Radiant Eye that merges the two minds, but the caster having complete control within this mindscape. The priest turns his back to you and walks away in the massive, echoing cathedral. His feet clamber along the marble floor, and you witness a large throne of gold and glass out of thin air appear. The priest sits upon this massive throne, much like a judge in a courtroom. Before you have a moment to even take in where you are properly, radiant gold chains appear and clamp down around your wrists. You stand bound and on trial. In this reality, the priest is but a god. He sits there silently, looking down on you from his throne, much like a parent looking down on a child. Tyrus, of the City of Ascension, how did you make your way to these lands?
What was the name of this cathedral? I forget. It's been a while.
Cathedral of the Radiant Eye, my brother.
I like what you've done with the place.
Nonetheless, I am not on question here. I am not on trial. Answer my question. How did you make your way to these lands? And I would like you to roll me a wisdom saving throw, please.
19.
Very, very good. You kind of watch as you see him reel back a little bit in his chair, kind of looking down on you with his face kind of turned to the side a bit. It seems that you were well trained. And he doesn't really show or give too much away. His face is still hidden underneath the hood. You can't make out his face, even if you try to focus. It's almost like it's intentionally distorted. Your mind is strong. Inquisitor, perhaps? Paladin, even? A blade of radiance? It does not matter. I will get the answers that I seek. I have all the time in the world. Moving along. How did you come across that corrupted blade?
The blade, perhaps if I saw it, I'd have a better idea of what you're talking about.
You see the darkened, ashened blade materialize before you and gently spin in place.
Yes, I remember it well. Am I bound to the wall in the prison?
To set a picture, it's like you're standing in the center of this cathedral, almost like on display, as if you were almost like a judge's courtroom. But there's nothing around you, just these radiant gold energy chains just kind of bounding your wrists together like this, much like a prisoner on trial.
I try to reach out for the blade.
You reach out for the blade, and your hands just you look like you're about to touch it, and it just goes through it. It's but an illusion.
Okay, gotcha. I was hoping I could feel it to truly remember. I can't remember.
Make me a DC a wisdom save, please, sir.
11.
You kind of come back, and your hands instinctually come to your head, and you feel fire in your mind, and pain, and you can't help but let out like a cry of anguish, and you kind of know the feeling that takes you back, and you can't help it. An image of a cave comes flashing into your mind with this question, with this probing.
Yeah.
This molestation of your mind. You can't help but see it, and you can't help but see these ancient scrolls from a distance. You don't really see the writing on them. A weapon of a previous age, perhaps. No matter. Why did you exile yourself from our city of God?
And what god would that be?
Instantaneously, you feel prying fingers in your mind again with that kind of insolent remark. Another wisdom save.
Ooh, that 24.
Very, very good. And he just actually lets out a little bit of a sigh. You are well trained, Tyrius. I will give you that. But I do have all the time in the world. And it's at that moment that he vanishes, the cathedral vanishes, and you're back in your cell. And when you return to the world of this, back to the material plane, you feel your mind like aching like a migraine, and you do take 5 points of psionic damage.
I'm having a grand old time here.
It has been countless days since they brought you here. Has it been weeks? You don't know.
Yeah.
But one way you have to track time is when they take you from your cell. Erratically. Without any sense of schedule. You might go days. You might go hours. But they will always come for you. And they take you to the center of the first time you walked in. It looked like an ancient structure of sandstone with pillars. And whatever god this belonged to in some ancient time has been replaced with Solarian decorations.
Okay.
Statues.
But the actual architecture doesn't look Solarian.
No, not at all. Actually, roll me a history check in this current situation.
Nat 20.
Nat 20.
Yeah.
The heat, the sand everywhere, like there's sand in the temple.
Yeah.
The searing sunlight that's coming through any open orifice or doorway into the building. Even the Solarian guards, you can see, when you can see their skin is sweating constantly and profusely. Yeah. And you think to yourself, the architecture itself is just so ancient that even with that Nat 20, you can't exactly pin down what it is, but you tell yourself, I must be in the Shattered Sands.
Okay.
There's no other place you can think of that's this hot in the Eastern Freelands. And the portal that they took you through, as far as you're concerned, portals are a thing of myth.
Right.
They can't, and if they had used it, there's no way they could have taken you around the world or the other side of the continent. That's, as you know, impossible with what happened during the Shattering. I had to give you something for such a great role. But you do feel like you must be in the vast deserts. And it's not too long after that as they get you and they bind you to this table of stone that they called the slab. And you're bound with chains. And your thoughts are proven correct as you're lifted up in this temple and the roof opening like a flower. As you hear a mechanism grinding and moaning as this slab lifts higher and higher. As the roof opens, the sun blinds you. And the slab rises into the sky above this temple. You are left alone, isolated in the searing heat. A desert rolls out in front of you. Harsh winds whip at your body as the sand assaults you. And if the winds aren't howling and thrashing your body, the rays of the desert sun sear your flesh as you're left there for hours and hours, from dusk till dawn. Many times, delusions and mania have taken you. The slab, the elements, gnaw at your very soul as the heat racks your body. And they bring you down when you seem that you're on the brink of losing your mind, when you're feeling life leave your body as if the solar know. And they bring you down. One of these occasions you lose consciousness as the mechanisms start grinding. You open your eyes. Weakened, your mind racked and beaten. You're in your home, in the city of Ascension. Fluffy pillows behind your head. A blanket over your body as the sunlight of the morning pierces the window of your old home. You open your eyes and you see your wife. How does she look?
Beautiful. Olive skin, brunette hair. Just as I remember.
She looks at you. Smile spread across her lips. That look of love fills you. You are in your bed. She looks at you playfully as she kind of caresses your cheek with her hand. Well, if we're done messing around, I might make you those pancakes that you love. Strawberry, was it? You love strawberry on your pancakes.
I do.
Drizzled with just enough honey.
Feels so long since I've had those.
Oh, a week isn't very long.
What? Where were we just now? What?
I believe you were inside me, silly man. You look down, and your hand's there. You glance across the room and you catch your visage in a mirror by the bedside, and you look. You have more hair. You're kind of clean cut. Near the mirror, you see your Solarian uniform. You can hear children outside playing.
Can I make a, I don't know, sanity check? Or can I make a check
I'll get to that. As far as you're concerned, as far as Tyrius is concerned, this is reality. Your beautiful, stunning wife gets up, kisses you on the forehead. Her naked body leaves the bed, and she quickly grasps a robe and throws a very silky robe over her body. She kind of gives you a little bit of a playful smile, and she makes her way out of the room. Oh, darling, I forgot. I just put that sword that you got that they awarded you at the ceremony last night. It's just in the cupboard.
I get up to go check the cupboard.
You see it. You see the Grimjaw in the cupboard, holstered with your other blades. It's part of your outfit. It's roll me a wisdom check.
That's a good one. 22.
You start to look around. This doesn't make any sense. This isn't real. She's dead. You know she's dead. And it's at that moment you're back in your cell. Another day passes in darkness. Another day on the slab. Days pass, another day on the slab. Time, like the Radiant Eye Priest mentioned, is not on your side. It's on his. Visions flood your mind. Realities and memories of the past come and go. Some kind of sick game. And you have heard of these interrogation techniques. Incepting your mind, forcing you to create memories that don't exist to extract answers from you in a subliminal way. In one particular scenario, you're but a child again. Out in the orchards with your grandmother picking apples. You see this one, Tyrius? These apples are the best for pies. And she gets plucks this greenish apple. Here, smell it. You get the apple and you smell it, and it's this sweet, crisp green smell fills your nostrils, as if it were real. Now, let's go over our teachings. Why do people go to the Freelands? Roll me a wisdom check.
13.
You can't help but feel compelled to tell your beautiful grandmother, this matriarchal figure in your life of stability and trust, of why one would want to leave the City of Ascension. And you can feel free to talk to your grandma.
Yeah. Yeah. Okay. So. Yeah. Ah, well, Grandma. When there's been something terrible that's happened to them,
Oh. And
and
she
they
kind of
need to.
crouches down and looks at you eye level and puts her hand on your shoulder. What is it, Tyrius? What happened?
When you think you knew your path in life, and you knew what mattered, and what was and what was not, when you discover that's a lie, you have to get far from it.
Lies are very, very bad, and we don't tell them, do we, Tyrius?
No, no. Honesty. Yes. One of my tenants.
Your tenants, Tyrius? What is this, tenants? Are we going camping?
Since I'm in a child's body,
Mm.
do I have a chance to try to see the weird dissidents or no?
No, is in this current situation, unless you can break it, you
Yeah.
feel
Okay.
like, just to set you that tone too, it's like a dream. It's real.
Yeah.
It's like a real
I got you.
memory. Mm.
Oh no, it's part of the vow I took after I left the city.
That's very honourable, Tyrius. What is this vow? And feel free to make a wisdom saving throw as you feel compelled.
23.
You look deep into your grandmother's eyes that you always had a very, very strong connection with, and this love, this, you know, one of the more beautiful memories you have are baking pies with your grandmother in this orchard. Family, not estate, but a family property outside of the city, and you look towards the city of Ascension in the distance, and you see the glass and golden spirals in the distance of this city, and then you look back at your grandmother, and you remember burying her, and just as subtly as a kind of tear does roll down your cheek, that remembering again that of another person that you lost, and you're back in your cell, ripping the mirage away. Days pass. The slab racks your body. The elements sap you of your strength. Your mind becomes weaker over time. More than once or twice, you gave in to the illusions in your mind. You are but a mere mortal in the end, and the realities give you comfort. They make you remember a life that's no longer yours, a one of security, one of safety, one of love. You become resolute again, trying to stave off the incursion of your mind. You're standing in the cathedral yet again, on trial yet again. You don't know how many times you've appeared in front of this radiant priest in his halls of judgment, you could say. He just asks you boldly, "You are a interesting person, Tyrius. What is it that you're even trying to achieve?" Why did you leave your people? Why do you fight so hard? And you can see that maybe you're starting to get at him at this point. He kind of slips for a moment, and you realize for the first time in what feels like a lifetime in these trials of the mind, that your mind may be one of the more harder that he's ever had to break. And it's at that moment for the first time in what feels like a lifetime in this place and memories and the slab and this distortion of time and space in your very fabric of your own being, he steps down from this throne and he places a hand on the side of your face, above one of your eyes. And he just snarls at you, and you see his face up close. Just from the nose down. And he stands over you, almost like a god at this point, omnipotent. You struggle, you try to move, and he places this hand, this palm of searing heat over your left eye. You will tell me what I need to know! And he just heat erupts, and you feel your skin boil and light a flame inside of you. The composed, almost charismatic priest is almost faded away at this point, and it's left with this ill-tempered, angry, petty, disgusting person. You can smell your own flesh at this point. Hot sparks spew forth around your skin and incinerate your left eye. Howls fill this cathedral of the mind. And as quickly as the pain enters your body, you're back in your cell again. You can still smell your flesh. You don't know the extent of your physical scarring, but you know one thing's for sure, that you cannot see out of your left eye. They don't aid you. They don't send help. The smell of your burnt flesh fills your cell for days. Maybe 2 or 3 days later, you are again put on the slab. You are raised up. Make me a perception check.
8.
At this point, you don't know if it's a figment of your imagination. Some days that you've been up here, you've seen all manner of things. Memories, monstrosities. But this time, something feels different. You can see individuals on a dune in the distance. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. You see these shadowy figures descend a dune. Moments later ascend another dune. And they make their way up and down, closer and closer to this temple that you're at. The priest says he has had enough for the day. Bring him down. You can hear them below you, the Solarians. The slab descends, that mechanical growling, and it brings you down into the sunroom. The Solarians start to unclasp you. I don't know why they just don't kill him. It's what the priest wants. He outranks us. We take orders from him. We don't question him, do we, brother? We do not question him. They unchain you. They start dragging you back to your cell. And you just hear a voice as these two soldiers, at this point, when they usually bring you down from the slab, you can't walk. They always drag you back. Just one arm each, and they're dragging you down this dark and narrow hallway. You can just vaguely hear the voice. We have demons making their way to the temple. Take your guarding positions now. Now! And you just hear them. You feel this shuffle of plate in this dark hallway, and you see them look at you. Just throw him in the cell. We'll deal with him soon. He's not going anywhere. And they just open the cell door and throw it. Throw you in there, and you tumble in as a mess, and dust and sand goes everywhere. You hear the clambering of plate armor down the hallway. And the sound dissipates. What you notice, though, in this particular situation, they did not lock your door.
All right. Okay. I attempt to stand up.
Roll me a Constitution saving throw.
My first attempt here. 6.
6. Your body is racked from the heat. Being sunburned doesn't even begin to describe what your current state is. They keep you weak on purpose. They're not a threat. These are ash bringers, ash walkers. These are the elite of the elite.
Yeah.
You know that. But you do feel a rush of adrenaline in this certain situation of possibility for the first time, and you don't know how long.
Right.
Or is this just another test of the mind?
Yeah.
You don't know anymore.
Right. All right. Well, I make my way over to the door, and I just kind of listen to hear what I can hear.
You kind of hear very faintly, like an echo of, "Yes, we'll take defensive formations, just as we have discussed. I don't know how they found us out here, but nonetheless, be on your guard." And that's all you hear. And you kind of hear, like, not even an affirmative. Ashbringers kind of have an understanding, and you just start to hear plate mail start to clamber yet again.
All right. Is it this exit out into a hallway, I assume?
Yes.
Do I, like, when I look down the hallway, do I see anything that would tell me light or no light or up or down? Or
when you know this, just because it's like a almost daily occurrence that they drag you out of the cell, they always take you to the right, and you are the last room. You don't think there's any other prisoners. The time you've been here, you've never heard any about anyone else. You feel like you're the only one here. The room near yours feels like it could be a storage room. You've seen it open one or two times. There's just boxes and whatnot in there, probably supplies. Gotcha. This is a very bare minimum shrine to some deity some way back. All you know is that there's shade here, and it's some kind of Solarian outpost.
Yeah. Okay. I'm gonna go, instead of going towards the slab, I'm gonna go the other direction, presumably where they ran to.
Sure. You start to make your way. 1 second. There's another staircase that kind of adjoins to this hallway that leads down. And the only
Okay.
time you've ever been down there was the day that you came through that tear in reality through that portal.
Okay.
And the one thing that you can remember about that basement was something that did not seem to be a part of this temple. And it was a bronze sphere, probably, a couple of feet by a couple of feet.
Yeah.
And it had almost like a wavy, cloud-like design on it. But it just did not seem like it fit the rest of the decor here.
Okay. When I get to that next intersection, I want to just peek around, see if anybody.
You look into the sunroom where they take you, and you look into the sunroom, and all you see are two of them, shoulder to shoulder, run outside. Nobody is in the sunroom at this point.
Okay. Is this at ground level or?
Ground level, yes.
Okay. Well, I'm gonna take my chance here and move into the sunroom. Does the sunroom have anything in it that I could like hide behind or take
there's
cover behind?
pillars. Yep, several. There's 3 on each side of the room, and then the slab is in the center.
Okay. I try to get to one of the pillars and just see if I can see any more of where those 2 guards ran to.
You kind of, unenergetically scramble tiredly to the pillar, and you look around. Make me a perception check of the room itself.
Okay. 10.
Look, take it or leave it.
Oh, sorry, 11.
Take it or leave it. Every day that you've been kind of lifted up, there is a small dining table near the slab, and there is a jug of water and food on that table.
Yeah, I think I'll grab the water and is it big enough or
it's just
I'll just drink as much of it as I can.
You can't help yourself. As soon as that water touches your lips and how raspy your throat is, it literally it's cascading off of your chin at some points as you just down this entire pitcher of about 2 liters of not cold water, but water nonetheless. And you do see this plate of kind of rationed food and bread and tack and jerky.
Yeah, I'll eat that.
Yeah,
as quickly as I can.
You can, and it's at that point as you're kind of chewing down on this jerky and ripping it aside, you kind of start to hear. You kind of hear a yell from outside. Be upon us at any moment. Be at your guard and be ready to take down this filth.
Okay. Let me make my way to the entrance. Like, not go outside, but just kind of tuck up beside it and look out to see if I can see where those 2 guards are now.
Sure, you kind of roll me a stealth check.
$11.
You kind of let out a bit of a wheeze, just with how your body is at this point, on the brink, and you let out a slight wheeze. But circumstances on your side, these 2 soldiers, the ones that kind of left through the main entrance, and you do notice in the sunroom that there's entrances to the left and right too, and at the back. So it's almost like you look around this big square and there's multiple entrances. One at the back is kind of caved in by sand. Looks like a bit of a sand dew is overtaking it. But the exits on the left and right are also accessible. You just see these 2 Solarian Ashwalkers standing there with their shield and sword at the ready for whatever's about to come over the dune in front of them.
Okay. Yeah, let me go to I'll go to the right. that exit to see
You
where
see,
that leads to.
you make your way, still stealthed. You make your way to the right entrance, and you look to the left. You go to the right entrance, but you look to the left, as into where their attention is. And he's kind
Yeah.
of there's like this almost arrow-like formation that these 5 or so soul Ashbringers are taking, and he's kind of, it looks like he's taking the right flank of that formation. And
Okay.
you kind of look, and it's at this moment you see these frog-like entities of different colors, dark purples and blues, just kind of start to make their way, mounding over this dune at a high speed. There's probably these Solarians in this case are outnumbered. You see the Phoenix priest, the Radiant priest, standing near the center, and it looks like he's putting some kind of spell up in the air above him, almost like a mini sun starts to form above this priest. And it's at this moment that all hell looks like it's about to break loose. And I think if you would like to, you could dash out of this exit. All eyes are on this moment as light starts to erupt from this small sun-like object.
Yeah, I'm gonna get away from that quickly.
You start to make your way and start scrambling up this sand dune, and as soon as you start to like have an incline, you feel the hot heat, and you take a breath and you just force yourself and think to yourself, this is nothing compared to what I've been through. This is nothing.
Right.
You make your way to the top of the dune, and you can't help but collapse at the top. And as you go to collapse, you feel force hit your back as this explosion of light erupts from this priest of the Radiant Eye, and it catches your back and sends you tumbling down the sand dune.
Yeah.
Winds begin to pick up and howl at this point. Your visibility starts to drop, and you continue on in that direction. You hear the roars of battle. You hear these hisses and these monstrous noises from the other side of the sand dune, but that is not your priority right now. Your priority is getting square footage between you and the enemy.
Yeah.
You continue on, and you start making your way over sand dunes, using them as cover, up and down as far as your body would take you. It almost feels like an eternity. The sun starts to set, and as you know here, it just gets cold rapidly. It gets cold very, very quickly. The night air starts to fill your lungs, but the first time in, you don't know if it was weeks or months, you feel hope. As you look back and you can see the temple is on the very far edge of your horizon. No one's come for you. You're just hoping that maybe they don't even know that you're gone. You don't know if they survived. You don't.
Yeah.
It's at this moment you've had the first time to think and not in pure survival mode. Roll me a quick history check for the creatures that came over the sand dunes.
A 5.
For this particular enemy, it takes you a moment and your mind goes a little bit blank, but you go, impossible. Slads.
Are they slots?
Yeah.
As soon as you described.
Yeah. Oh, it's good that it was clear. But they were. But for you as Tyrius, especially in the Freelands,
Right.
what the actual fuck? That makes... You know that there's a frigid kingdom where there is some demonic activity to the northwest. But for them to be in the desert, in the middle of nowhere, you piece together maybe it was some kind of attack against the Solar. Maybe they're on their turf. You don't know. I mean, it's probably not a fucking priority for you at this point.
Yeah.
exhaustion takes you. Night falls, you push as far as your body will let you. You do find like a rocky outcrop. That'll probably be the safest form of protection from the howling winds at this point. Just because of the swiftness of your escape, you don't have much on you. You have tattered robes, to be completely frank. And you did make a makeshift eye patch from the scar. You still have and you only have vision from your right eye. You just pass out under the rocky outcrop that's giving you a bit of protection. You awaken the next morning.
Okay. Maybe
for the first time that you've laid eyes on it, the desert is just a desert. You have shade. You have shade. As you kind of awaken, the shade's kind of starting to disappear from the angle of the sun. Make me a perception check.
12.
You glance around and you see some cactuses, some smaller plants. And they're kind of like a bluish color. Your eyes also dart the horizon, and what you see is what looks to be like a canyon. Stone outcroppings in the distance. They're kind of like, I wouldn't go as far to say it's a mountain, but almost like an outward ravine. It's probably the only thing you can see on the horizon.
Okay. Any paths or anything, tracks or anything on the ground?
Not out here, just the wind. Just a soft wind for this morning. You don't see... You're not sure what happened back at the temple. You hope that maybe the wind has protected your tracks. Idea where in the desert you are, but you do believe you're in the Shattered Sands. You do see some mountains. Like I said, kind of like a ravine. Roll me a history check.
Hey, Nat 20.
Oh,
I'm really hitting I'm hitting the history this stuff.
No, you have a flash in your mind. You know maps. You have travelled the Eastern Freelands for many years at this point. You do know of a couple of landmarks that just flash into your mind. Most of the area of the Shattered Sands are known as the Desert of the Wanderer. You know that the Wanderer is this... He was meant to be something called a primal or a titan or some kind of stone-like deity that fought during this great shattering hundreds of years ago, and he just wanders the desert. He just wanders mindlessly, just because of such a great role. You heard one of the tales in a tavern years ago that some other deity or magic user or wizard of great renown and power wiped the mind of this titan. And it forever just wanders the desert. It never leaves the desert. It only wanders the desert. And some tribal cultures have kind of built their religion around this entity known as the Wanderer. You have a flash of the Slavers Sanctum, an unruly place filled with scum and villainy, if you can pick that reference.
Yeah.
You have heard of that place where human trafficking is a thing. You heard of this place called the Arena in your travels, where gladiators fight each other to buy their freedom. If they choose not to be a slave, they can choose to be a gladiator. Is probably some say it's the final choice. They call it the final choice before they're enslaved. Pirates who travel the Styx and The Dreadwaters do a lot of business up there, and a lot of adventurers need to be weary or be captured and taken to the Slavers Sanctum. It's almost a neutral territory for demons and devils as well to sell monsters. There's an exotic trade for animals and monstrosities as well. You've even heard tales of someone buying a young dragon there. There's all sorts of craziness goes on. You have the Thunderclap Mesa, and then you've also got Demon's Rest, which is on the border of the Frigid Kingdoms. You've got the Broken Back Canyons, and far, far to the east, you have the Striaka, which used to be a place called Kargtharum, which was once the major dwarven city, but that's more on the Elysium coast and on the borders of the Shattered Sands. Okay. And you also have the Great Styx River, that was a creation of the Great Shattering when the god Io descended from the heavens. The god of gods came down to put a stop to this war between the deities. The Great Shattering split the continent, and now the river known as the Styx, much like the River Styx from the Infernal Realms, it kind of took a nickname. And from what you know of the Shattered Sands, you've got these insectoid type creatures, you can't remember their name, nomadic tribes. There was meant to be a lizard folk empire here thousands of years ago that got swept clean, and there was something to do with the blood god. But other than that, you also have the Butterfly Monasteries, which are kind of on the border of the tundras of the lost, of the great icy wastelands. A memory of Mercy flashes in your mind, the halfling barbarian, and of course she came from that region. Maybe she knew about the Butterfly Monastery. You also have Giant's Run, which is on the border of the Elysium coast and near Valmeria. But as far as you're concerned, you don't know where you are, and they could be hundreds, if not thousands, of kilometers away.
Okay. I guess based off the sun, I'm going to just try to head in like a southerly direction.
Not a problem. Would you, with what you see on the horizon...
Yeah.
Did you want to head for... Oh, yeah.
Can you describe just again what I saw in the horizon exactly?
You just saw like rocky outcroppings, a lot larger, and kind of looks like they might provide some shelter to some degree. Slim Pickings being a desert.
Yeah, let me head towards those.
Not a problem. Starvation and thirst are beginning to set in quite rapidly. You continue to walk in that direction, and make me a quick perception check.
A 7.
You make your way to a top of the dune, and as you make your way up, you look down on the other side, and you hear this clicking and clacking like noises. And you see the biggest fucking ant you have seen in your life. Its head is about the size of yours. It has like a yellow colored like body, looking exactly like an ant, but its abdomen and then tail is a green color. And you see it kind of like picking at one of these. It hasn't noticed you yet, and it is picking at one of these cactuses.
Oh. I'm gonna go in the opposite direction of the ant thing.
Yeah. Your current situation, you're a little bit you even look at this thing, and just because of your soldier-like background, you have heard of creatures like this, and it's simply an acid ant. you do know that there are colonies of these things, and thank the gods that you came across just one on its own, which is unusual.
Yeah.
You continue to make yourself about and around this creature, and I'd say you've just given yourself a wide berth. You don't need to roll a stealth check. I'd imagine he's being quite quiet as he...
Yeah, just gonna go roll down the sand dune.
You start to make your way to this kind of like, you see it in the distance, and you see these rocky outcropping. It's a couple of hours away. Exhaustion and thirst are really starting to take its toll on you at this point, especially being in the desert. And you do see a couple more of those cactuses again.
Okay, well, if they're good enough for the ant, is there any rocks around?
You spend a good 10 minutes.
Like small.
Oh yeah, you can.
rocks?
You can, even though it's a desert, you do come across an outcropping here or there, and you get a
Just like one I could pick up. Yeah,
absolutely.
So I want to do that to try to like chip off maybe a top of the cactus just to see what it is, or
sweet smelling ooze, kind of much like aloe vera, kind of starts to come out of this cactus.
I'm gonna put a little. I'm just gonna try a little bit.
Sure. You let this kind of ooze slide down your throat. Not the very, like, despite its smell, it's actually very, very bitter. And I'm gonna have to get you to make me a Constitution check, please, or a saving throw.
12.
You manage to hold it, but you're like, you do feel a little bit better. This isn't gonna, compensate for a glass of water or something, but you feel a little bit like the edge is taken off, but it's a poor substitute.
Yeah. I'm gonna try and eat or consume enough of this to try to feel a little bit more energized.
Make me another Constitution saving throw, just because you're kind of downing it.
Yeah. 16.
You do feel yourself dry reach, but you kind of manage to... You do hold it back, and the blistering sun is probably more of a concern than your thirst now. You feel satiated, but barely.
Okay. All right, I'm gonna.
Yeah, you continue on your journey. It's starting to, after a full day in the sun. You'd like to think that the time on the slab prepared you, but nothing ever prepares anyone for the desert heat, no matter how much time they spend in it. You continue your way towards these outcroppings, and they get larger and larger. And as you get there, you start to notice that it almost looks like a mountain that's been shattered. Like, it doesn't look like a natural formation. It looks like something's impacted this landmass and has created it's multiple entries as you get closer. But the main thing you notice is shade immediately within these kind of ravines that are just like everywhere.
How would you describe the mountains? Are they like sand, or?
Oh, these are like a dirt brown earth. Yeah, stone, I should say, like a brown stone. Yeah, definitely. Sorry to clarify, very different color to the sand itself of the desert. Hence, catching your eye. Yes.
Okay. Well, I'm going to try to make my way into shade, basically. At least just take a break for a second.
Yeah, sure.
Maybe take a short rest.
Sure. What are your total hit points? Curious.
Well, it's 60 total. 50. But I'm at 55 from 5 points.
Yeah.
It's like
not a problem. Look, your maximum hit points just for now is sitting at 40. Just to update you on that, just because of the situation. You continue.
Makes.
It's starting to get to about mid-afternoon, and you make your way. You're probably about 100 feet from the entrance to this kind of. As you've gotten closer and closer to you, it started to dwarf you. This kind of like.
Okay.
This, like I said, not quite a mountain. I'm just trying to find the right word for it. That's been splintered by something.
Okay.
You kind of just looking at it, that Kratoria has a history of being a battleground for the gods centuries ago, and you can't help but wonder what happened here. I'm sure some battle of epic proportions took place, because this is not natural, the way everything's kind of splintered and fractured. You make your way in, and shade hits you, and you automatically just feel relief from the sun.
Yeah.
It's probably a good 10 degrees cooler, or 20 if you're American. 10.
Right? Yeah, exactly.
There's a Celsius and Fahrenheit, and you make your way in, and you just collapse. I mean, not to like railroad your character, but just for this part, you do feel that kind of like relaxed collapse, and you just kind of, and you look in, and it's very cool, and there's even a breeze. Just make me a perception check. I don't know how to say that. A sense check.
11.
It's a little bit, despite the insane heat a few feet from you, there's a coolness to this area. There's a wind that kind of almost has moisture on it, coming from within.
I'm gonna investigate that a bit more.
Absolutely. You make your way in to this ravine, and it's quite narrow. It gets narrow and widens and narrows and widens. You can kind of look up. You can see the desert sky above you. Just because of the position of the sun. If you're in the middle of the day, the sun might be beating down on you at this point through the cracks.
Okay.
But you make your way through this ravine, and then you start to reach the center. Like, you start to believe you're getting towards the center, and it kind of opens up. And within there, you can almost smell it before you see it. You see like this oasis of water, like a pool.
Ooh.
And there are some trees around it and shrubbery and whatnot.
Yeah, I'm just gonna go towards that oasis. I'm not checking for anything. I'm like, oh my god, finally.
Yeah, you don't need to take this horse to water to get it to drink. You go straight to the center of the oasis, and I take it that you just start. It is water. It's not an illusion. It is.
Yeah. As long as when I put my hand in it, it's water. I'm gonna take a nice long slurp from that.
You just start, and you just feel your body it's almost as if you put on weight instantaneously. Just your muscles, you can feel. Yeah,
I'm gonna splash it on myself too. My skin and everything that's been just butchered.
You haven't felt water on your skin since you arrived at that temple from Two Streams. The last time you had a bath would have been in Two Streams the morning before you rode that dragon into what was supposed to be an epic battle. And you just feel the memories of life just flood back to you, and the ordeals, it's almost emotional. Just the release and just the safety of water. And you just start consuming this, and you don't feel sick. The water's not necessarily pure. It's a bit muddy and sandy, but it's drinkable. And you just smash it back. Yeah. No constitution check needed. It's drinkable. Roll me a perception check.
14.
You just hear a voice and footsteps behind you. What did I tell you? This watering hole always makes it too easy. And you turn and you just see a robed individual and you feel your jaw dislocate and blackness take you.
Shit.
And that's where we'll end tonight's session. Hey there, I just want to say thank you for tuning into the Kratorian Chronicles podcast, and I look forward to seeing you in the next episode.